Welcome to Jamerican Network. Please click the buttons below to like, share, and subscribe to our fun and educational network, the Jamerican Network. Don't forget to hit the notification bell for notification of more awesome content to come.
Buying a house is probably one of the most expensive and consequential transactions you will ever engage in all of your lives. It can be a scary and nerve-wracking experience, and it is fraught with pitfalls and potential screw-ups. Having to knowledge before you jump in feet first family is the best way to inoculate yourselves against these pitfalls lurking out there. Real estate is probably at the top of the pyramid when it comes to retaining and transmitting generational wealth, and our people need to get into the game as quickly as possible. Too many of us are stuck paying rent and making another person and his family wealthy, and after years of paying rent we have nothing to show for it. Jamerican Network, in keeping with its creed, wants to change that narrative, beloved, by giving you the knowledge you desperately need. With more knowledge you will reduce your anxiety and the whole process will be demystified. You then can begin to see that owning your own home is quite doable, even for someone with moderate income. In buying a home, you don't have to have a lot of money. It is not the money that is the premium here, but it is the knowledge, as in know-how. And this is what Jamerican Network seeks to do, that is to bless you with the know-how to make this possible. Please hit the like, share and subscribe button below and smash the notification bell and hit all. First thing you should do before you buy a house is to do your homework. Some people call it the due diligence. What do I mean by that? In one word, research. Research can be both physical and intellectual. Let me explain. There is some information that you will not get without physically eyeballing the place. By that I mean actually going to the place and looking at the physical structure. There is a wealth of information that you can gather just by making a trip to the place. 1A. Is the house attractive? 1B. Is the house situated on an avenue that is well kept, clean and aesthetically pleasing to the eye, or is it a place that is strewn with garbage and litter? 1C. Is the house in a neighborhood where the lawns and gardens are well kept, or are they overgrown with weed and grass? 1D. What kind of people occupy the neighborhood? Are they quiet, God-fearing families, or are they loud, liquor-drinking, drug-taking, boisterous hippie types, or all the other assortment of low lives? 1E. Access. How easy will it be to get to the house? Are the roads neatly paved and comfortable to drive on, or is it a car suspension-killing journey? How scenic is your path of transportation and egress to and from the house? Will you require an easement to allow you access to your house? What is an easement? An easement. An easement is a legally binding situation in which the title to a specific piece of land remains with the landowner, but another person or organization is given the right to use that land for a distinct purpose. For example, is your house in the back of somebody else's land? If that is the case, then you're going to require an easement to gain access to your home. In other words, you will require legal permission to traverse or walk on or drive over another person's land. Can you envision the potential pitfalls here? Suppose this person does not like you. You have spent your money to be in court for a hard time. You don't want that type of stress in your life, family. There are deeper legal ramifications to consider with respect to easements, like dominant and servient easements, easement appurtenance, easement in gross, Easement by prescription. Continuous use easements. Open and notorious use, hostile and exclusive use easements. Affirmative or negative, private or public easements. But this is not a real estate law class. Jamerican Network is merely teaching you the proper way to go about buying a house, family. Suffice it to say, easement requirements should be avoided at all costs. Now, where do I go to get all of this information on a property, you say? Well, all of this information is a matter of public record, and is completely free to access. The problem is most people don't know where to look. Well, it's quite simple, people. This information is no further than at your county courthouse in the local county recorder's office. This place is usually located in the basement of the courthouse. Caveat: unless you are savvy and in the know like me, it's best to get a real estate lawyer or a real estate agent/broker to help you out. If you hire the help of a lawyer and/or broker/agent to help you out, it is important for you to establish if this person is a dual representative professional. What do I mean by that? Is this person representing you exclusively, or are they representing the seller also? Because in such a scenario the loyalty lines can become easily blurred, and if the seller has more money than you, it's not difficult to surmise that this individual's loyalty just might skew toward the seller and not to you. Make sure that that fact is firmly established, family, otherwise don't get into a representational contract with this individual. Alternatively, there are paid websites that can get you this information online. 3 that come to mind are Neighborhood Who, COSTAR.com, and Realty Records. I will post the links in the description below. However, there's a caveat here also. How far away from where you live are these entities located? Are they intimately familiar with the peculiarities of local law? How empathetic will a cold unknown corporation be to your specific needs, and do they have personnel that you can reach out to quickly if you need a quick question answered? If they mislead you and you decide to sue them, what will the travel and accommodation expenses be? And how formidable are their lawyers? These are questions that you should ask yourselves before you plunk down your hard-earned money for information that you can acquire at no cost to you, except for your time. I will get back to this type of information, because I am not finished yet with the physical information process. 1F. How about the physical structure of your potential house? The roof. Please, family, eyeball the roof. What kind of condition is it in, and what kind of material did they use to make the roof? Did they use asphalt shingles, wood shingles, clay shingles, metal shingles, or concrete shingles? And what shape are they in? The type of material will give you an insight into the durability of your roof and how long the roof will last before you will have to come up with huge sums of cash to replace it. Tuck that away in your mental Rolodex, family. For those who really want to get technical, you can also determine if the roof was sheathed, storm-proofed, or tape-vented. I personally wouldn't buy a house without having a building engineer give me a written assessment, and I have above average knowledge of the process. If you are a first-time home buyer, pay that engineer that money to do the assessment. It's only a couple of $100. That will be money well spent. Peace of mind is golden, brothers and sisters. Exterior walls. What about the exterior walls? What type of material did they use to build the house? Was it brick, stucco, wood, or concrete? If it is wood, say. Is it covered by decorative polyvinyl chloride? otherwise known as PVC, or just vinyl for some. Wood would suggest less durability and possibly termites. While to its extreme, concrete would suggest a lesser opportunity for proper insulation. Know these things, family, it is important. Interior. What about the interior of the house? How high is the ceiling? How tall are you? What condition is the ceiling in? Will you have to soon spend money for a brand new ceiling? Rolodex that away in the mental, people. What about the plumbing? In what condition are the pipes? Are the gas lines sturdy and secure? How about the electrical wiring? How ancient are they? Can they handle two-phase electrical transmission or even three-phase electricity? How sturdy are the windows and doors? Especially the ones facing the outside of the house. Are they sealable? How drafty are they? Because drafty windows and doors will negatively affect your gas and/or electricity bill, know that. What kind of stove will you inherit? Is it an electric or gas stove, and is it of your preference? Mousey on down to the basement and check the walls for watermarks. If watermarks are visible, it means that you'll have a flooded basement on your hands every time it rains heavily. That will require a sump pump and it will leave you with molds. Can you handle that? Is the sewage plumbing in good shape, or not? Know that, will you? Does the sewage system lead to the city main, or does the house possess a septic tank, and if so, how many times per year will you be required to empty it? At what cost? And are you willing to have to put up periodically with the odor nuisance? How long will it be before you will be required to dig up your backyard to replace it, and is there egress space available for the heavy equipment that it will take to do so? Contemplate these things before you buy, family. How about your heat and cooking requirement? Are those necessities powered by gas or oil? If oil, how large is the oil tank in your backyard? And is it certified EPA approved? Environmental Protection Agency. Those are the feds, and you do not want the feds up your ass, trust me. Additionally, how often will the oil truck have to come, and are you and your neighbors willing and able to put up with the distractions? How wide is your avenue, by the way? And are you willing to put up with an irate neighbor going to work, but unable to get past your oil truck? If the house is powered by gas, how secure are the exterior gas lines, and how accessible are the gas meters? Do you want a dirty technician traipsing through your living and dining room, with intent to read your meter while you, family and friends are trying to enjoy a meal? Think about that. Are the bathroom fixtures decorative enough for you? Are they worn or encrusted with hard water calcification? How big is the bathtub? Can it accommodate you and spouse when bubble bath time comes around? Is there an adequate medicine cabinet in your bathrooms? How many bathrooms and half baths does the house have anyway? What about the kitchen? Is there an adequate ventilation system? Will your kitchen be smoky, or can the fan handle the fumes and smoke? Is there a large enough sink, and is there sufficient space for plate draining? Is there a dishwasher coming standard with the house or not? Because that's built-in value right there. How are the cupboards and cabinets? Can they accommodate all of your pots, glasses, cutlery and utensils? A quick glance answers all of these questions. Check the house for molds, radon gas, formaldehyde and asbestos. Asbestos is carcinogenic, meaning it can cause cancer. Molds can cause allergic reactions, asthma, and it can irritate the eyes and skin, and if you breathe in the spurs, it can irritate the lungs also. Formaldehyde is a chemical widely used in the production of wood moldings and trimmings. Every living creature, including human beings, produce formaldehyde. It is very good because of its preservative characteristic. The problem is that prolonged exposure to formaldehyde can cause blood cancer, also known as leukemia. Because the building trades in North America are heavy users of formaldehyde, it is heavily regulated by federal agencies such as the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, and the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA. Because of the strict regulations, a house with an elevated amount of formaldehyde is a less attractive house come reselling time. Radon gas. Radon is a naturally occurring radioactive gas that can cause lung cancer. Radon gas is inert, colorless and odorless and is usually present in the basements of older houses. Radon occurs naturally and is dispersed quickly outdoors. In older homes, radon seeps up into the house from the earth, through cracks in the basement floor and other holes in the foundation, where it becomes trapped in the house and poses a lung cancer risk. Lastly, examine the electrical outlets. Are they sufficient and in good working order, or will your house become a home of extension cords and overloaded circuits? 2. Flood zones. Is your house located in a flood zone? Again, you can determine this by a simple trip to the county clerk's registrar's office at the courthouse, but if you are not inclined to do that, the government has a reliable source. FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency, has a website that can give you that information expeditiously and quite freely. The website is called FLOODSIMPLE, and it gives you a FEMA flood map report. I will post a link to it in the description below. All you have to do is place the correct address onto the site, and a red pin will come up pinpointing the location in a Google Map style display. It will give you an indication of the potential for flooding, based on criteria such as land elevation and whatnot. The home that I live in is designated a quote area of minimal flooding hazard. Even way back then, decades ago, when I did the contract to buy the house, before there was an internet, much less a FEMA website, I had sense enough not to negotiate for a home in a flood zone. FEMA uses other metrics to determine the flooding hazard of a particular area also, like average yearly rainfall percentages, future forecasts percentages, whether the house is situated in a basin, whether there are levees, culverts, storm sewers, dikes or floodwalls, whether the place is coastal, whether there are any hydrographic features like the ocean, rivers and lakes close by, and they even measure their water level elevation and match it against the land elevation of the house. The site will even print you out a report, all for free. They are very thorough. I figure that if it's good enough for the big multi-billion-dollar insurance companies, and they all use it, then it's good enough for me. 2b. Does the current owners of the house have any tax liens on the house? If you purchase a house before insisting that the liens are satisfied and dispersed, then guess who is responsible for the lien? You guessed it. You. If there is a lien on a house, then what is typically done is that the buyer pays the lien and deducts that amount from the asking price and everybody is happy. But if you did not do your research, then you are stuck holding the blade while the seller has the handle. A little Jamaican parlance there. 3. How many institutions hold title to the property? Did the seller take out a second mortgage or a home equity loan against the value of the property? If so, that has to be settled before the sale contract is signed. How do you determine taxes owed and third-party mortgagor or mortgages? Bulk sale notices. There is a legal maneuver called a bulk sale notice. All competent real estate lawyers and real estate brokers know this. In a nutshell, the purpose of the bulk sale statute is to protect a purchaser from inheriting any tax debt from a seller of business or real estate assets. A bulk sale is the sale, or transfer or assignment, of an individual's or company's business asset, in whole or in part, outside of the ordinary course of business. The asset in this case would be the property. This also applies to real estate, and you can enlist the service of a competent lawyer to do that search for you. Some real estate agents or brokers also know how to do it, as they have access, based on their licenses, to the databases containing this information. Again, spend that money, it's only a few $100s. It will bring you peace of mind that you cannot pay for. In addition to that, you want to examine the lien situation on the property. There are websites that can do this for you, including Neighborhood Who, which was previously mentioned. But there is also a site called Lein Search that can expeditiously give you that information. Both entities' links are in the description below. Another alternative is a website called Intelius, which is a property title search website. The link is also in the description below. My advice is to, in the interest of thoroughness, utilize the services of all three. Very low likelihood that all three would miss any vital information that you would need. Not only must you worry about tax liens, but also UCC liens, otherwise known as Unified Commercial Code liens. There are companies out there dedicated to providing you with this information, and the cost of their services is included in what they call your closing costs. Any experienced real estate lawyer or real estate agent or broker knows about this and should be able to guide you. If they are incapable of doing so, then get rid of that person right away. Remember, they work for you, not the other way around. An alternative would be for you to independently check this out for yourself. A company that comes to mind is the CSC Comprehensive UCC Search Service. Again, check out the link in the description below. These people should be paying me to promote them, but maybe another time. The beauty about CSC is that they can be a one-stop shop, where you can, in one fell swoop, obtain all of your information in one place. You see, although all of this information is a matter of public record, some of the information is located at the municipal level, while, as is the case of the property taxes, the information is located in the county areas. Bulk sale information is on the state level, and resides at the Office of the Secretary of State. If you owe the IRS, they can attach a lien on your house, and that information, although widely disseminated, resides at the federal level. The smart thing to do is to do your own independent research by enlisting the services of a company like CSC. They are thorough and can reach out and grab information from all these sundry governmental agencies and bring them together into one central comprehensive report. They can conduct federal tax lien searches, state tax lien searches, and judgment lien searches, utilizing their data system called CSC Financial Online SM. Don't try to juggle each jurisdiction's unique search requirements or figure out how to obtain information from jurisdictions that do not offer online data. It will be too much for you. What I would do is both. I would hire the services of a competent lawyer, while quietly and unbeknownst to him or her, conduct my independent research, utilizing a company like CSC. By doing it that way, you cover all of your bases. You cannot trust anybody these days, family, especially for us minorities. You will spend your hard-earned money these days to acquire the services of a lawyer or broker or agent, and at the end of the day, you find out that they have not been loyal to you as they should, by law. Don't be left holding the bag. I know it will be more expensive for you, family, but that is our lot in life, which we must deal with as minorities, especially if we're living in the United States of America, where loyalty is often a quaint and overlooked concept. Think of it this way. This is a life-changing undertaking that you're going into. Something that have big ramifications for yourself, your spouse, your children and potentially your children's children. Spend the extra money to make sure that you did it right. 4. Fair market value searches. What does that mean? A fair market value search is when you search to find out the ballpark value of the houses in the neighborhood of the house that you intend to buy. If all the other houses in the neighborhood are selling for $300,000, and the house you are seeking is quoting you a price of $2 million, something is wrong. Somebody is trying to rip you off, and you should investigate it and be ready to bolt unless the price is in keeping with the prices of all the other houses. It is as simple as that, period and full stop. 5. Fair Housing Act of 1968. This landmark legislation passed more than 50 years ago, passed by the Democrats, by the way, is an anti-discriminatory federal law. Any American citizen or resident is entitled to purchase whatever type house in whichever neighborhood he or she chooses to live, as long as that person's finances allow for it. If a lawyer, real estate broker or agent is trying to steer you away from buying a particular house, then he or she must be able to give you tangible, provable justifications as to why they're doing that. Failing their ability to do so, you must draw the conclusion that they're attempting to discriminate against you, which is a crime prosecutable by law under the Fair Housing Act of 1968. The punishment for violating that law can be quite severe, including the permanent loss of that person's license to continue doing business in that jurisdiction, state or the whole country for that matter. Please tuck that away in your mental Rolodex, family, it is important. Don't go out there and be arrogant and obnoxious about it, family, but at the same time, know your rights. Enough said on that. 9. Financing. Since we left off the last segment talking about discrimination, let me start off on this segment talking about it as well. What is redlining in the banking and real estate business? Because you do know that they go hand in hand, right? Redlining is the systematic denial of home loans to minority groups, usually people of color, by banks and other lending institutions like mortgage companies so that they cannot buy homes in other neighborhoods other than the ones from whence they came. This is often manifested by placing strict criteria on lending requirements for blacks while maintaining much more lenient criteria for their white counterparts. This practice often disadvantages poor and minority communities. Prior to the Fair Housing Act of 1968, there were no specific laws that protected minority populations from discriminatory practices in housing. Businesses were therefore able to exploit these groups in order to increase their profits. Redlining was utilized in the housing industry by mortgage companies to suppress minority populations from receiving home loans to buy homes in other neighborhoods as well as to deny them the funds to improve the current homes. What the banks would do is classify certain neighborhoods as risky, as in red neighborhoods by estimated riskiness of mortgage loans. The net effect of this would be the isolation of whole minority communities, a reality which incurred wide-ranging impacts. Physical isolation resulted in political isolation as these residentially isolated minority groups had local political needs like increased affordable, government-subsidized housing and improved access to home loans that were not on a par with white majority groups. Left with fewer housing and employment opportunities, shrinking tax bases in these isolated areas also led to insufficient public services as well as higher violent crime rates due to concentrated poverty. Because of these dangers, strict policing in these neighborhoods was more prevalent than in white neighborhoods, which resulted in more arrests and murders of unarmed civilians. Specifically as it relates to housing, black people whose credit ratings were high and incomes were high could not qualify for loans that would be routinely granted to their white counterparts with even lesser numbers. A prime example of redlining occurred in Detroit, Michigan following World War II. Maps of Detroit during this time period clearly show that black neighborhoods were segregated from other white or wealthier communities through the process of labeling neighborhoods with any black residents as hazardous, as in red, to lenders. The net effect was lower home ownership for minorities and a higher concentration of poverty in predominantly black neighborhoods. Again, tuck that away in your mental Rolodex and know that these tactics are illegal and you can bring legal action against violators of that law. The financial part. This is the really scary part. Let your American network hold your hand and guide you through this process. You are on the verge of fulfilling your dream of home ownership and you are brimming with anticipation, right? Slow your roll, please. The first thing you need to do is establish within yourself what kind of home you can afford. Explore the mortgage amount that best fits into your overall budget. Work out your monthly expenses and subtract that amount from your salary or income. Be very thorough here. The difference will be what you can afford to pay on a mortgage, replete with compounding interest. Don't bite off more than you can chew. This is a time to let your head rule rather than your heart. There are several compounding interest formulas and calculators that you can use to tell you beforehand what your minimum monthly payment will be. Once you are finished with that part, it is time to pre-qualify. Upon entering into a contract to buy a home, you are required to put a down payment on it. This, ostensibly, is to let all stakeholders know that you are a serious candidate and not wasting anybody's precious time. Here's the rub. If you cannot secure the loan, then the transaction cannot go through, and all of the stakeholders, having worked hard to get you to the contract stage, stand to not get paid for all of their running around and preparation. The law therefore allows them to confiscate your down payment and use it as compensation for the just labor. In a scenario like this, you lose all the way around. How do you protect yourself from this potential nightmarish scenario? You obtain a pre-qualification statement from your lending institution. To do this, you and your banker sit down and figure out, based on your income, what you can afford. During this process, she runs your several credit reports and determines if your score will allow you to qualify for the loan. Assuming that your income is good and your credit is a pristine thing of beauty, she can then issue you a pre-qualification letter. A pre-qualification letter is not a legal commitment to loan you the money. Rather, it is a promissory note that they will loan you the money. The pre-qualification phase can go up to a period of 90 days. It is important because you can then take this letter to all the stakeholders, the seller, your lawyer, your real estate broker or agent, and the seller's lawyer. All of them will now take you seriously, while you have no legal obligation to pay back any loan, since you didn't borrow any money from anybody. All you did was secure a promise by the bank to loan you the money when closing time comes around. It is sleepless nights time now, family, but don't sweat it too much. You actually have passed the worst, as the bank would have no incentive to not loan you the money. That is the purpose. Otherwise, why exist? PMI. What is PMI? Private mortgage insurance. All mortgages must secure insurance to secure the loan, so that in the event, God forbid, that you, the borrower, defaults on the loan, then the insurance company is on the hook to pay back the money. The bank will not be left holding the bag. It is you that is assuming the risk, is the thinking of the bank, and therefore the cost of securing the loan with insurance should be passed down to you. Do you understand? The bank, however, gives you a way out though. It says that if you plunk down 20% of the loan from your personal funds up front, it will waive the private mortgage insurance (PMI) fee. It therefore means that if you are borrowing $300,000, then you would have to come up with $60,000. Kind of steep, but when you consider that the PMI would extend throughout the life of the mortgage, incurring interest expenses, plus the fact that by paying such a substantial sum, you would only be paying back $240,000, rather than the full $300,000, at compounding interest. Then you know that you will save yourself a ton-load of money over the life of the loan. Additionally, you may become eligible for a lower interest rate than what was previously contemplated. In the Jamaican and West Indian communities, the American banks will accept SUSU. In Jamaica we call it partner. For our American and other nationalities family, it is a round-robin system of saving money where several individuals come together and each person deposits a certain large sum of money into the pot. Upon a preset and agreed-upon period of time, one person is showered with everybody else's money. The recipient is then required to pay the agreed-upon sum into the pot, until all members are blessed with the large sum, which is the result of everybody else's money. The net effect is to provide each person with a very large sum of money at one given time. This then blesses that person with an investable sum. Some people use it to start a business, while others, as would be the case in this scenario, would use it as a down payment on a house. For it to work, it requires healthy doses of trust on everybody's part. The American banks see the sense in it, plus it signals to them that this person is a conscientious, ambitious, and trustworthy person. I believe that is why they accept it. These people are no fools. You see, the thinking of the bank is that this person has a major stake in this whole transaction and is willing to share the risk with us equitably. Therefore, they are saying, given all of that, let's cut this person some slack. The loan will normally take care of your lawyer's fee, your broker's fee, the fees for the searches and credit reports, and even down to the expenses incurred by the venue in which the closing, as in the paperwork signing and the check cutting, took place. Usually at the lawyer's place around a big old conference table. Now please take your keys for your brand new home, family. Enjoy that. Escrow. The lawyer that represents you almost always sets up an escrow account. This is to facilitate the vicissitudes of the closing process. The bank doesn't have time to be cutting 10 checks to satisfy all of the stakeholders. So what the bank does is deposits one check or transfers the full loan money into the lawyer's escrow account. The lawyer is obligated by law, at risk of prison time and disbarment, to use that money for no other purpose than its intended use. Now, breathe a sigh of relief and go enjoy your home. Blessings. Please review the page following at the end of the video where I outline the various steps and provide for you a timeline in the video where these steps occur. You can always rewind the video to refresh and recollect your memory. Additionally, you can do a print screen to obtain a paper copy which you can carry around with you during the process. Once again, blessings.
Thank you YouTube audience and subscribers for enjoying yet another episode from the Jamaican Network. I, Paul Haye, certainly appreciate your interest and support. If you want to not miss out on any and all episodes, you can click the subscribe button below, and activate the notification bell and click all, to be notified whenever I post other thought-provoking episodes. Once again, thank you, and blessings. Oh, please share also.